When you were over there for 3 weeks, wasn't it? You were over there in Venezuela.
In Venezuela, yeah.
And where, was it Caracas you were stopping in, you say?
Yeah, I was staying in the west of Caracas.
But
yeah.
it was sort of like the poorer side. Is there anything really that you would like to say that surprised? What surprised you the most about the country, really?
The main thing was the kind of what's the word? The immense amount of social organisation that's going on in the country. I'll give you a few examples. So you've got this.
With regards to like democratic, socialism, that way, do you mean?
Well, there were processes of grassroots democracy that were kind of put into place or triggered after Hugo Chavez was elected as part of the kind of Bolivarian revolution that was instilled in the 1999 constitution. That was basically based around transferring power and political power to local communities to organise various means of their own daily life, ranging from education to healthcare to various other sectors. And I feel my analysis of the country was that the kind of power shift that was initiated during these years has kind of created a kind of mass democratic movement that is allowing the country to actually survive at the moment. So at the moment you've got this CLAP, which are kind of 18 kilogram food packages that are distributed to around 60% of the population at the moment. And the whole distribution process is carried out by volunteers. And every kind of, apart from the actual buying of the food, kind of every process of, every part of the process is organised by volunteers. I mean, they're going into their local areas, they're conducting censuses to find out who needs what, how many people are in each house, etc., etc.
So 18 kilograms, sorry John, sorry to interrupt you, 18 kilogram did you say?
Yeah, so
that's what 9 bags of sugar, isn't it? About 9 bags of sugar.
Yeah,
and,
so these,
and that is how often do they get those?
Either bi-weekly or monthly.
So either bi-weekly or monthly, and you say 60% of the population get those?
Yeah.
And this is given them?
It's subsidised by the government massively, so it costs around, I can't remember, I think it was about 25 cents in US dollars to purchase one of these CLAP food boxes. I mean, this whole CLAP organisation was in response to what was becoming a major food crisis during 2016, especially. So I mean, yeah, it's incredibly effective. But then there's also forms of organisation that are not directly linked to any form of the government. So you've got people that are buying food directly from the producers, the agricultural producers. They're kind of skipping the whole value chain. The whole value chain of the supermarket, where you have to pay the staff and then you have to pay. And many of the private supermarkets, people feel are waging class warfare against the general population by hiking prices. Not only hiking prices of, staple food items that the majority of the population or the poorest people need for day-to-day life, such as corn flour, which is needed to make the arepas. So they're trying to bypass all the different bypass and insulate themselves from the kind of capitalist processes that they feel to a large degree are the source of their economic discontent at the moment.
Yeah, it does seem like it's a fight like for socialism or for true socialism against capitalism. That's almost like that's the two sides here that are actually fighting each other, and it's nothing to do with him being a dictatorship or anything like that. It's literally just capitalism trying to stop socialism from infringing on their profits, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there's kind of two parallel forms of kind of struggle that are going on at the moment within the country. You kind of have this mostly European white elite. Many of the it's almost an oligarchical structure where you get certain members of the opposition parties and the opposition leadership that are related to former presidents who who were also family with former presidents. And these are descendants of people who were just kind of accustomed to ruling the country. Like Leopoldo Lopez, for example, has family that were former presidents, and this is the leader of the Popular Will Party that Juan Guaido is part of. So you have this kind of internal class struggle where they kind of want to regain power for themselves, and they're not quite happy with the socioeconomic changes that happened with the Bolivarian Revolution, where dignity was kind of restored, or many of the poor Afro-Venezuelans or indigenous people felt that dignity had been restored to their day-to-day life. They could get an education. They could kind of they could do emancipatory things with the things they needed to live as well. So there's that class struggle that's going on inside the country, and then you have the kind of white European elite that are allied with the US, who are inviting foreign military intervention into their country, which is also based on capital. So
It's strange. You bring that up. You bring the. I spoke to Ben Norton about Venezuela a couple of months ago, and he mentioned how there's a real sort of race issue here that is really unreported. In that you saying there that it's generally the whiter parts of society that are sort of the affluent, if you like. And the poorer people tend to be these people who are indigenous and of darker skin. And this is something that Ben Norton mentioned as well. It's certainly something that is underreported, if not just ignored totally by our media, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an element of the situation that's ignored. And I mean, if you look at the journalists that are going out there, I can't speak so much, but they're mostly just kind of a lot of the journalists. There's another layer of the journalistic problem, is that you get these kind of white privileged journalists that have gone to private schools and then gone to Oxford or whatever, and they make all the mistakes abroad that they make with the domestic public, and often even worse, because they don't perceive of a different side of life that they've never been in contact with. And you see that in the reporting. You actually see it when you get these comments, like when you try and plunge the depths of Chavismo, as if it's this scary, they have this primal fear of the kind of ordinary people of the country, and this, to go back to the racial.
Just before you put a pin on that, because you brought up something there that I have talked about just endlessly especially over the last few months, because I'm really going after the media at the moment, and really I'm so pissed off with the BBC especially and the mainstream media. I honestly think that they are totally and utterly pissing all over their own their own profession. And they're just literally shooting themselves in the head at the moment with regards to the Julian Assange situation. And we don't have a fourth estate. I've really got a massive problem with it. And you mentioning there how when journalists go over to Venezuela, they've almost got a fear of it. It sort of plays into something that I talk about all the time, John, and that's how they're a diverse breed. I don't want to say breed, or they're a diverse group of people. Journalists are. They'll come. You've got white journalists, you've got black journalists, you've got Chinese journalists, you've got female journalists, you've got gay journalists, you've got the LGBTQ journalists. But if you look at these establishment outlets, they're all from the same goddamn backgrounds. They're all from privately educated, high, well-to-do, Eton, Cambridge, blah, 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 in these private schools. And when they go to these places like Venezuela, they wouldn't even dream of going to the place that you visited. I mean, you tweeted out a picture of where you were stopping, and they wouldn't dream of going there, would they? And do you get the feeling that is really one of the main problems that we've got at the moment with our media, not just in this country, but in the West as well, especially in America, in that the media that we've got all come from the same bloody class, and they all think the same way, and that's essentially why I think that they've got the jobs that they've got, because they all think the same way.
Yeah, and then you get these kind of outliers that are these working class journalists that made it, but I mean they just have the same views as the rest of them, so it makes no difference anyway. And there's the root of the problem with journalism itself, especially in the UK anyway, a society that's so kind of class based, is that you in the UK if you want to go anywhere in journalism, I mean previously at least, you'd finish uni, you'd have to go and take an unpaid internship for 1 or 2 years in London, to be able to actually get on the ladder.
Who could afford that?
You're probably once you're on the ladder, you'll probably get paid like very little. And I mean, who's able to do that? No ordinary person has the financial means to be able to go to London, do an unpaid internship for 2 years, and so there's a filtration process. It's not just, as Chomsky describes, ideological, but it's also economic in the UK. So ordinary people are economically filtered out of the journalistic process, which is why I think outlets like the Canary are important, because they give a means for people, for a different kind of people, whatever you think about journalism, to get involved and to.
Well, you mentioned the Canary there, John, and I want to, I can't say enough good things about the Canary, because they're reporting on this. They're reporting on the Venezuela crisis, for instance. Just pick that out. I mean, you could pick pretty much any subject over the last 2 years out, if you ask me, and they're outstanding. But if you look at the Venezuela reporting, it's been outstanding, and it's like night and day compared to actually, what you get in the Guardian or what you get in the Independent, because it really is a slanted view. Whereas in the Canary, I do get the feeling that you just get the truth. And you don't get, people trying to champion one side or the other. It's just like, this is the situation, and this is the way it is on the ground. This is the truth. And I for one appreciate reporters like yourself who are doing that, knowing that, it's not necessarily going to help you career-wise, essentially, when you look at the way, journalism is set up in this country, and the way, as you say, who can afford to take those internships. So I, for one, really want to thank you and your colleagues at the Canary just for what you've done. It's been excellent. So thanks.
Thanks very much. I'll pass it on to them.
Is there anything that you want to mention before we go? Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at JMcEvoy2, JMCEVOY2.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, is there anything that you wanted to talk about that I haven't brought up in questions? Because obviously I just go off in all sorts of directions, and I might have messed about with your thought process. But is there anything that you wanted to talk about, really, and I can put it in here?
I suppose like a lot of people that I imagine a lot of your listeners will know some of these outlets already anyway. But whenever I speak to people about Venezuela and they say, oh, well, I don't know, the economy seems okay, or they say, oh, well, can you not suggest some alternatives? And so yeah, I'll suggest some alternatives. Obviously, I recommend the Canary. Grey Zone's been doing great work. Max Blumenthal's project. Venezuela Analysis is just a staple. All of its editors are on the ground in Venezuela, doing really important work. So then, I think with us three. You start running out after that, don't you? You start running out. It's Venezuela, Abby Martin, Empire Files, they're great. And then you start, everybody else is pretty much bullshit, isn't it? If you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and click the bell below so you get a notification of when I drop further videos. If you click the links on the screen and below this video through to my website as well, you can find out ways to support me. I can't do this without your help, and I really do appreciate it. Thanks very much for your support, and until next time, peace and take care.